Alex, welcome to Talk Satellite, and thank you for joining us today and coming along to Talk Satellite.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure being here, and thank you for having me.
Okay, so firstly, can you provide background on Hubble Networks as a company?
Absolutely. So, our mission and vision at Hubble Network is to enable any off the shelf Bluetooth chip to communicate directly with our space satellites. These are satellites that are in a low Earth orbit constellation, and they're able to pick up these very weak signals coming out of our Bluetooth chips with just a software change. So anything that has a Bluetooth chip in it with the Hubble firmware is able to talk to our satellites. As a bit of background, prior to starting Hubble, I co-founded a company called Life 360, which is a smartphone app for families that lets you stay in touch with your family throughout the day and just communicate and coordinate them. And I'm fortunate enough to have scaled that from early stage idea all the way through a successful IPO listing. And nowadays we have close to 90 million monthly active users that are using Life 360 to just keep their family safe. And it's actually my experience at Life 360 that inspired me to start a satellite company called Hubble. The reason being, we saw lots of opportunity to solve very important problems for our families. Things like smart collars for pets, GPS watches for kids, fall detectors for elderly parents. There was so much opportunity for these very compelling hardware devices. But the existing cellular and satellite networks were far too expensive. They were very power hungry. They required bulky antennas. And so you just had these products that weren't good consumer experiences. And I spent a lot of my time trying to build a better network and understand how we could make these devices better. I became an investor in my co-founder of Hubble's previous company. He was building a very interesting peer-to-peer mesh wireless network, which he eventually sold to Amazon and where it became the Amazon Sidewalk Wireless Network. So my co-founder was the inventor of that network. But we continued to chat about how can we build a truly global network that is very battery and cost efficient? And with all the innovation in satellites and the ability to get up satellites relatively risk-free, it's obviously still a hard industry to be a part of, but it has drastically changed over the last few years. And so about 4 years ago now, Ben, my co-founder, and I decided to start Hubble to really build this satellite constellation that any off-the-shelf Bluetooth chip can communicate with.
Can you give us information on the satellite constellation?
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the Hubble Network satellite constellation, we've launched 7 satellites in total so far. So we have 7 fully operational satellites that are now connecting and collecting signals from lots of our early customers' Bluetooth devices. Our goal is to eventually get to a constellation of 60 satellites. The main difference, because these satellites are all in low Earth orbit at about 500 to 600 kilometers, and they're in polar orbits. They cover every single part of the Earth. With our initial set of satellites, every part of the Earth has coverage on average every 12 hours or so. As we continue to launch more and more satellites, the time between flybys goes down till we eventually get to a continuous coverage satellite network. That number for our constellation is 60 satellites. So at Hubble Network, we're racing to build and launch 60 satellites as fast as we can.
Sounds wonderful. Solutions. What can we expect Hubble Networks to address with its services?
As I spoke about before, the initial idea from Hubble came out of how can we support consumer electronic devices that need low cost and long battery life connectivity. But as we've launched Hubble, we've realized that the market is much broader than just the consumer electronics market. We see a lot of interest in what Hubble is offering across industrial and enterprise IoT. So these are use cases such as providing visibility for asset tracking inside of supply chain and logistics, being able to understand and know and predict where containers, parcels, packages, assets are at all times. We also see a lot of interest in the construction industry around tracking of tools and equipment rental, lots of interesting applications in agriculture, from cattle and livestock tracking to wildlife tracking to creating yardsticks that actually provide soil, moisture, temperature, humidity, acidity, freeze conditions, enabling smart farming. We see a lot of interest from governments and NGOs around environmental monitoring. So being able to measure glacier melt or detect wildfires. There's lots of interest in utilities, oil and gas and electricity, things like well and pipeline monitoring, tank level monitoring, lots of interesting sort of not only asset tracking, but also telemetry and monitoring use cases. So there's lots of industries that are interested in having access to a global network that is both very low cost, but also very long battery life so that you can develop these low cost couple dollar devices that have sensors and you can deploy them out in the field and have them last for years on a single coin cell battery. That's really the solution that we're looking to provide. And we have a lot of interest across all these different markets that are interested in our networking solution.
What will your route to market be?
So our route to market is we're providing a network and we're partnering with a lot of companies that have already built interesting devices for their various different industries and use cases. And because we're only a software change, we don't require our customers to change their hardware at all. Our earliest customers have partnered with us and they're able to take our software and within 30 minutes get it integrated into our network and start testing it right away. So our route to market is to enable people that are manufacturing devices to test Hubble as an alternative to cellular and other IoT networks, where we are the much more scalable, low cost, and long battery life option. We're also working with various different system integrators and developers who are building new devices for new interesting applications that just haven't been solvable yet today. And making it, again, super easy with a software only change to be able to onboard their devices onto onto our network. And our pricing model and business model is very simple. We only charge our customers for active devices that are using the network. So there's no activation fees, there's no obscure pricing. It very much is a very simple, if you have a device that's on the network, there's a very low monthly service charge for that device. And otherwise, we don't charge you anything except for active use of the network.
Wonderful. So you recently raised $70 million on a Series B. How is the finance going for your rollout? I'm thinking this would be for scale up of your offering, etc.
Yeah, so we're very fortunate to have recently raised our Series B. It gives us a lot of runway, not only to scale up the constellation, but also to scale up our go-to-market efforts. So as we're now transitioning from a company that just launched satellites to one that is offering a commercial offering that our customers are starting to actively use, we're going to scale up the team, especially on the go-to-market side, but also use a good portion of that funds for the build out of the constellation. The 70 million that we raised won't be enough to build out the entire fleet of 60 satellites in our constellation, but it does provide the capital necessary for a good portion of them. So as we continue to build out the constellation, I assume there will be other future funding announcements as we continue to build out this network.
Alex, we wish you every success and thank you again for coming along today and talking to us.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure being on here. Very nice to meet you. And thank you very much.